business owners.
Hey everybody, it's Dave Scatchard from All Star Coaching, and I'm here to help out real business owners just like you. My friends Trevor and Kale came in, we crushed a podcast, and I kept explaining these diagrams that I wanted to do, and I actually had them up on my whiteboard, so I thought we'll just go right through them. Every time that I go to erase these, I get in a coaching session, I actually I need it. So I don't even erase them anymore. I've got one on this side that's super powerful, and then one on the other side that I'll do on a separate video for you guys, okay? So just tune in, relax, and watch how easy it is to sort of see how life has been mapped out for us in a way, and the different levels and stages and dimensions that we actually go through during our lifetime. And because I was lucky enough to play in the NHL for 14 years, to become a top-level peak performance coach, to be able to write a best-selling book, to make 7 figures in 4 different areas of my life, in different businesses and things like that, I've been up and down this ladder so many times that I know it intimately. And the crazy thing about this thing is that I was in a meditation in my house, and I do a lot of deep transcendental meditation work. And this vision kept coming up so crystal clear that I had to document it. So I run back into my office, I grab a whiteboard, I just start scribbling. It's actually a piece of white paper. It's crinkled up in the corner over there. I've had it for years. But each time that I show people this, they can actually kind of see where they are on this map. And you may be a champion in your health, but you may be in the pit in your relationship, right? So we're in different areas for the different categories of our life. But ultimately, if we can move our way up to champion, awakened, all-star, this is sort of our goal. And here's a theory that I have. I really truly believe that when we were little and were born as children, we were actually born into champion and all-star. And the more I practiced teaching this, the more it kind of became more clear to me that as children, we are free, we are ecstasy, we are joy, we are love. We're just kids, we're running around, we're playful, we're silly. There are no rules, right? These are a lot of the characteristics, and I'll get more into this. But then as we start getting programmed, we kind of start to settle in down here into existing. And that means being part of groups and fitting in with your family and trying to fit in with the neighbors and that sort of thing. And that energy is a little bit lower. But after years and years and years of this conditioning and teaching, we start to believe that this is our reality. And we forget that this even exists. And oftentimes when our energy goes energy neutral, which is that middle tier, there's not really enough pain to make us move to do anything great and climb the ladder to champion. And there's not really enough fear of sliding down, so we just kind of exist. We go through the motions, and we keep doing that until eventually the energy starts to drop. And we start to slide into the tunnel of hell. And oftentimes addiction actually starts kind of around this area here for people with addictions, because the energy is starting to drop and they're looking for a state change to bring in more energy or a different type of energy because they can feel it coming. So oftentimes addictions come when energy is dropping. Big fights with spouses come when energy is dropping, usually at the end of the night. There aren't any really great fights in the morning, right? Isn't that funny? Because we're higher energy. It makes more sense. So as I explain this, you're just going to see how the pieces sort of make sense. And this was all gifted to me during meditation. I just ran in here, wrote it down as fast as I could, and I tried to think about it after if it made sense. And I've run this through multiple clients, and this makes so much sense on so many different levels. But let me explain the different qualities and characteristics that are involved with each of the levels. I'm going to start with existing. Existing, surviving, and asleep is an energy neutral state. And I believe, I don't know exact numbers, but I would guess that probably 80% of the population sort of exists here. They kind of go through the motions. Life is okay, right? They might be judgy of others or compare each other to others. They might even be jealous and hate on other people. They might have limited growth. There's not really any need for big growth because nothing crazy is needed because they're just existing. Life's okay. They have a little bit of money in the bank account. They're paying the bills. It's okay. My relationship's okay. It's not in suffering. It's not in trouble. So it's just kind of neutral. Going through the motions, sleeping, asleep, sort of brainwashed. This is where we start to believe that this is our life. This is just how it is. How's it going? Yeah, it's going all right. Yeah, it's pretty good. How many times have you heard that? Like thousands, right? Here, it's more of a programmed mentality. Somebody has told you that this is normal. And sometimes you've gone for it. You've gone for the big thing and you've had haters and people judge you and say, what are you doing? Like, that's not you. You can't do that. That's impossible. How many times have we heard that? So we start climbing the ladder and we go, you know what? You're right. I'm back down here. This is kind of my sweet spot, right? You're disconnected. You're just kind of in survival. You're like, well, yeah, it's okay. This is just, I don't want to take any risk. It's nice. It's sort of fake certainty. You're playing the same game as everyone else. You're following everyone else's rules. You're kind of like just going along with the crowd, running the rat race, doing the 9 to 5. That's your game. You're playing small or you're watching others play. These are the fans of the pro sports teams. They're not the pro sports athletes. They're the person that's watching on the couch, the armchair expert, so to speak, okay? Here we've got just sort of our routine. We don't really want to get out of our routine. It's okay. Like, let's just punch the clock, 9 to 5, come home, have dinner, have a beer, watch Netflix, go to bed, wake up, do it again. They don't really like risk. They've tried risk a little bit, climb the ladder, and it's like, oh, that didn't work out. Or I got my heart broken. I put myself out there. Or that's a sign from the universe that I'm not supposed to do this. Okay, and I'll explain the ladder shortly. There's no risk. There's a safety first mentality. Okay, nothing great comes from safety, but we'll get into that in a second. We're going to play it safe. You know what? Just don't put yourself out there. Don't go too crazy. We've got average. We've got copycat mentality. There's unoriginality. Sort of gossipy. You talk about others' lives because yours is kind of boring and neutral. There's stories. There's excuses. In a way, you're a liar because you're saying, well, I would be this or I would be that, but because I blew my knee out, I'll never play pro sports. Because this happened to me when I was a child, I'll never do that. And you'll lean on these excuses and stories. You'll hear a lot of, one day I will do this. One day I'll do that in this dimension, okay? A lot of talk, no action. There's rules. Well, I can't step outside my role as a mom or a dad, so I'm just going to follow that role. I'm going to be a good mom and a good dad, and I'll just make sure that I don't do anything that stretches me outside of that box. It's kind of boring. It's a little mundane. You're going to be like everybody else. You're going to do what you're told, and it's flat or no energy, and there's no real need for the energy. Okay? Does this make sense to everybody? So that is the basic existing, surviving, asleep dimension and space in time. Now, here's where it gets a little bit interesting. When we're in here and we start to slide down, the energy starts to drop, the bank account starts to drop, COVID hits, a relationship struggling. Now we're starting to slide into this tunnel of hell. And we've been so lackadaisical in this existing that we start to panic in here. And sometimes when we get into this, we can't get out. And it's dark. And we start sliding and sliding. People start doing irrational behaviors, trying to find more energy. They'll drink more, they'll do drugs, they'll gamble, they'll watch porn, whatever it is to raise their energy level because they know they're sliding into the pit and it's just a matter of time before they hit it. Okay? We all hate the pit. I've lived in the pit more than I would care to explain. This is why I can understand and teach this stuff so well, because I lived here for 3.5 years after my 5th concussion, where I really had to rebuild myself and my life and my mindset and everything about myself. And in the pit, these are common traits and characteristics. There's personal loss. You feel like you lost something. You may have lost, there may be grieving. You may have lost a father, a loved one, a son, a daughter. It's terrible. You might say, why me? You might say, this isn't fair. You might have identity loss. You might have lost your job. You might be confused, hopeless, divorce, breakup, right? Can you feel energy dropping? This energy is really energy poor. There's not a lot here. When you get stuck in this space, you almost can't even see a way out because the energy is so low. Okay? We've got a divorce. We've got breakup. You start to feel numb. There's a depression. You stop being active. You feel like no energy. You feel frozen. There's fear, anxiety. You're sick to your stomach. There's no compelling future. You feel like you're dying inside or you're trapped inside and you feel like you have no options. Can anyone relate? I lived here. I know this sucker so intimately that it kills me because I know how many people dip into here. But let me tell you something that's undervalued about being in the pit. I'd rather have somebody come to me for coaching, with All-Star Coaching, here than here. Because the person that comes to me here is getting scared. There's pain and fear, and they don't like the pain and fear that they're feeling. This person here, it's energy neutral. They come and go, I don't know, it's neutral, right? Here, there's a mentality that shifts when you drop down here. And I believe that this is the energy bringing in instability into your life to try to shift you into alignment of more energy is needed here. The warning light's going on. It's saying, pay attention. This is DEFCON 5. We got to make something happen here. So there's an all in or die mentality. This is jet fuel. You put somebody in the pit, they're scrambling. They will do anything you tell them to do to get out of that because they can't stand the way this feels. They'll do whatever it takes. Their change is an absolute must. There's no other choice. They will get it out of it because they have to, because they feel like they're going to die. There's explosive energy here. There's pissed off and motivated. I would rather have somebody be angry and frustrated because there's energy in that than sad and depressed. And there's sort of a crazy 8 that sort of happens with the energy where you go from sad to depressed, and then you get frustrated and angry that you're sad and depressed, and then the energy will come up, and then you'll go back down to sad and depressed, and then you'll get angry and frustrated, and that's sort of how that works. But there's enough energy and urgency here for change and hunger for change. So a lot of times, somebody from the pit can leapfrog and get back up into the upper area of existing where there's a little bit more energy and it's more upper mental intelligence. And what happens is, this is where the magic happens. We've got juice, we've got change, we've got things happening, and they will go and say, I can't go into existing, I did that, I need to find another level, I gotta recreate or redesign myself. So you jump on this champion's ladder, and I call this area the champion's ladder right here, and there's different rungs. And the first rung, for example, you want to start your own business, or you want to inject some energy into your relationship, or you want to get in the gym and you want to get yourself in good shape. So you have this new idea and there's excitement about it. You start going into the gym and you're working out. Your first couple workouts are great and you're feeling awesome. And you see that your weight's starting to come up. You lose a couple pounds. And then you're excited about it. That's the second rung. There's excitement. Then the matrix will happen and you'll be so sore. You overdid it. You can't sit down on the toilet to use the bathroom. You're like, all right, listen, I hate working out. I'm not working out. I'm hanging it up. You know what? I like my donut. You'll be good on the diet for 2 or 3 days. Then you'll grab a Krispy Kreme and then you're like, oh, I'll have one binge day. And the one binge day turns into 3 binge days. Why am I telling you this? Because I know it. I lived it. Okay? So the matrix will hit. And it's like a punch in the face. It's like, what are you doing up here? You're not healthy. That's not you. Go back down here where you belong. What? You're going to launch a coaching business? You're going to write a book? You're going to become a speaker? No, you're not. Get back down there. Right? Just stick to what you know. Go back to the 9-to-5 job. Right? Now, a bunch of people quit and they just settle in and go, you know what? That's a sign. I'm not cut out for this. I'm just going to stay back here. What I know, what's comfortable, what's certain, I'm just going to stay here. But then a small percentage of that group will say, you know what? No, I got to launch that book. I got to launch this business. I have to do it. So get back on that ladder and they start climbing. They're like, okay, I got the new idea. I got more energy. I'm more clear on what I want to do. They'll be climbing. They'll be excited. The matrix, boom, punches them in the face. It's like, yeah, I knew that was coming, but I'm not going to stop this time. I'm going to keep going. And you're gaining momentum and you're excited. And it's like, poof, kick right to the face. Get back down there. Your laptop might blow up. Your Wi-Fi might go out during a Facebook Live. Your business might have a sewage leak or something like that. All these weird things that happen. And most people will fall down the ladder and they're like, okay, that's 2 signs. I've tried twice. I've given it everything that I got. They didn't really. They almost did. This is one of the most magical things that I could have discovered, is that those things are going to happen. They happen to all of us, no matter how many times. In my career, I went up and down this ladder hundreds and hundreds of times. So I know it intimately. And these things are going to happen. But then there's going to be coming a tipping point, which is just above the resistance if you can get back on the ladder again. And a very small percentage will get back on the ladder a third time. And they'll start climbing, and they got the new idea, they got the excitement, they go through the matrix. They're climbing, they're gaining momentum. Resistance kicks them in the face and barely hang on. They're trying to climb the ladder. And then there's going to be a tipping point, okay? This last stand piece, this tries to end you. It does not care who you are. It does not care what you're about. Imagine if this is evil forces, and imagine you're the good force. You're the force for good, and you want to have an impact and shine your light on the world, and this is going to do everything it can to stop you from getting that message out. It's going to stop your book. It's going to stop your business. You're going to have funding problems. Whatever the thing is, it's going to try to end you and your business and your dream because you're showing up to serve and be a light, and it's going to try to stop you. And here's how you overcome it. I truly believe that these are sort of like little mini tests that have been installed into here because this is such a special, sacred place reserved for individuals who are all in. There's a commitment when you lock in and you say, no matter what, I will die on this ladder if I have to, but I am fighting until I break through this. If you're not quite sure, if you're 80% in, 90% in, that energy of the last stand and that darkness will just break you apart and you'll fall down the ladder and your dream will never be realized because you're not all the way in. But here's the special thing that nobody knows, is that if you're truly, honestly, authentically aligned and committed to serving and you show up in the most powerful way with every cell of your body and being, and you are going to get here. The last stand doesn't even fight you. It goes over to Sally, who's not all in, and it goes over to Joe, who's 80%, and it goes over to Frank, who's 90%, because it knows that you're an unstoppable force of nature and there's nothing it will do. It can't do anything to stop you. You're going. It knows over time that you'll get there, so it just leaves you. It actually steps aside and it lets you in. And this is the most magical thing about this, is that when you can break through, when you can go all in, when your mind, when you wake up thinking about it, you go to bed thinking about it, and it's just who you become. You become an all-star. You become a champion. You become awakened, and you're using energy is super rich. You begin to use unbound energy. God and the universe wants you to win, so you start to use all this energy instead of just your own. It's not even about you. There's stretching, there's learning, there's growing. There's massive action in this space. There's expansion. There's higher vibration. You're awakened. There's no boxes. You make up your own boxes. It's unlimited. There's no rules. It's flow and glide. You're swimming with the current instead of against it. You've got gut instincts. You go with those. You read them. You're amped up. You're superhuman. There's gold medal performances that happen here. Michael Phelps doesn't win gold medals or does do world records in existing or in the pit or in the tunnel. He does it here. You become superhuman, superpowers. You're in the zone. Listen, I believe that the zone isn't a once in a blue moon opportunity. I believe that the zone is actually when you're perfectly aligned with your purpose and your passion and your 1000% commitment. I think you're able to get into the zone so much more. It almost becomes who you are. Have you ever met one of those people that just like seems to win at everything? And you're like, man, that guy's just a killer. Gets it done every time. Well, he's living in a different dimension than you. That's probably why it's seeing that. It's unknown. There's no safety net here. Your business may fail. Your book may bomb. Your speaking gig may not work. But it's next level. No one else is doing it. It's scary. It's exhilarating. But there's a sense of knowing. You just know you got to show up here. You don't even know how it's going to work sometimes. But you just got to do it. You don't even have a choice. You are called for this. This is what you're designed for. But you get to use all this unbound energy, and then the weaver starts to weave these people into your life, and you find bliss and joy and ecstasy. You're on the leading edge of creation. Nothing's created down here. There's not enough energy to create anything great anyways. There's flow, there's glide, there's love, there's your confidence. You start to gain a new confidence up here. You're like, yeah, I'm doing this. And you feel like you're supported and guided. You're a leader. You're expanded. You're tuned in. You know you're guided. There's serendipity. You can scale here. You're focused. You're open. It's effortless. It's free. It's happy. It's strong. It's connected. There's causeless joy. You can be faithful. You trust that you're on the right path. You don't know how it's going to work, but you're all in. And you love what you do, and you're bringing that energy to the world, and you're being a blessing. There's joy. There's trust. You feel supported by something that you may not be able to see. These people would never believe what you believe because they can't see it. They won't believe it unless they can see it right in front of them. Up here, you just kind of know. There's new ideas here. There's new philosophies. You hear nudges. You feel things. You sense things. There's whispers. There's positive expectancy. This is the champion's map. And we all live in these places in different categories of our lives. But it's consistently correct when I look at this. Every time I try to pick this thing apart and tell myself this can't be this simple. But I've lived in each one of these, and so have you. And I'd love this to be your spot where you can live all the time. Imagine what you could create. Imagine what you could do. Imagine if your health was all-star and champion. Imagine if your business was champion. Imagine if your spirituality was awakened and you just got guided the whole time. Wouldn't that be amazing? I think it's worth fighting for. And that's why I believe that no matter where you are on this journey, you have the ability to create and be and do and become more. And I think right here is where it happens. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Champions Map. I'm Dave Scatchard from All Star Coaching, and I'm grateful for your time today. So thank you very much.